I'm about to start week one of my wheelchair basketball experience. For me, this will be a empowering experience as I've never um, had the opportunity to play with these wonderful athletes before in my life. So I'm really interested to use this video log to talk to them, learn about some of the challenges that they've faced in their careers, some opportunities out there for athletes, um, and really just to for personal reasons, just to grow as an individual in the sport and to challenge myself to try something new, get involved with different communities out there in Victoria and recreationally, and hopefully that'll lead to opportunities and more discovery for myself down the road as we move forward. So really looking forward to this wheelchair basketball experience. Don't really know what to think. It should be a lot of fun. As we move along, I'm going to incorporate a lot of things we're learning in class and try and tie them into this journal. Also looking, as I mentioned earlier, to add some cool interviews along the way so we can kind of make it a story and then tie it all together at the end.
For the community. Well, we have our trailer of about 22 chairs, and we go and do demonstrations at elementary and high schools, different events in the community. We run some events through Saanich. We go over in Pender and over to the mainland doing a lot of stuff. As well as we have our Facebook, Twitter, and website are all used pretty heavily to promote. VictoriaWheelchairSports.com. I spent like 3 weeks making that website, so I encourage you to check it out, especially you, Ian. But the people we've had coming out so far have been really good natural athletes so even though they don't have any chair skills, they don't really know how to move the chair around, they are coordinated so they can dribble, they can catch a ball, they can pass and shoot,
Yeah.
which as a coach makes a big difference because we have had people in the past who lack all of those skills, and then you're literally working from the ground up. So actually, I've been really impressed with some of the development just over a few hours working in a chair.
Jean-Luc, before I forget.
I thought about doing it, but I think I should just go.
Do more balls?
Well, pretty blown away after my first real experience with wheelchair basketball. I didn't really get to interview as many people as I would like to in my first evening. I kind of just more observed and took a little bit of footage. Really wanted to learn what it was all about, and really interesting to meet some of the people in the program and blown away at how non-disabled they were and how they just made it part of everyday life, and it didn't even seem like they're in a wheelchair at all. So that was really cool. I want to try and conceptualize this, if I can, into a bit of our readings, and particularly the impact of agents and agencies, which we were learning about this past week in class. And reading about wheelchair basketball through these readings, there's a really neat quote here by Williams, where he noted that research had focused on determining which factors are significant and which are not in the socialization process into wheelchair sports. And in interviews with some of the women that actually play wheelchair sports, he goes on to say it became evident that every person or agency mentioned played a significant role in their socialization into the sport. I hope to in the future interview some people who are actually involved in wheelchair sports who actually have a disability and talk to them about that socialization process into the sport. So that's one thing to look forward to later on. Quick little story from my second night. I was just noticing a few of the people in the program are actually paraplegic, which is to say they have complete paralysis from the abdomen down. And a couple of things there to note. We mentioned in class that able-bodied new players are actually the ones with a disability because we can't play to the level of the people with the disability. And it's funny because they're just wheeling circles around us on the court, and they never really asked us for help. Even at the end of the night when we were putting all the wheelchairs away, into the vehicles and into the trailer. I asked if some of the people with a disability needed help, and they politely declined. I thought that was really cool. I saw one of the gentlemen there who has a spinal injury actually lifting some of the wheelchairs that he personally brought into his truck. And when I went over to say, hey, do you need a hand, he just gave me a smile and said, no, I'm all good, thanks. So that's my takeaway from my first real big-time wheelchair basketball experience. I loved it. Looking forward to hitting it back up next week.
It's harder to do when you're going slow. Start picking up the speed a bit, guys. It's actually easier to do when you go faster.
What are you really good at on the wheelchair? Yeah? Shooting? What do you find really difficult?
Dribbling.
Dribbling? Why? What's hard about dribbling?
So I don't have control of the ball, so I don't know how to move my chair properly.
And how can you work on that?
Practice.
Okay. Show me a good dribble compared to not very good dribble. What's a good dribble look like in a wheelchair?
In control, backspin, so it comes back to you.
Yep.
Bad dribble would be going too close so it hits your rim, or going too far out that someone can swipe it.
This is Alex. We're in week 3 of wheelchair basketball. What do you find really difficult in your 3rd week in a wheelchair to pick up?
Third week in a wheelchair, mostly stopping. I found you got to really pull back on the chair in order to stop. That's the biggest factor for me.
What's something that you got better at week to week to week?
Definitely moving in the chair. Just moving forward, you get faster and faster as you go along.
Yeah, and the regulars that come out, what are you really impressed with when watching them?
Holy, the speed for sure.
Yeah.
The guys that have been here for a long time, the girls and guys that have been here for a long time are really good. And also the ability to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. But for our group of 4 right here, Tony, yeah. Thanks much. Okay, so you want to get a chair position. What I mean by chair position is you have to be your wheel. Okay, your actual wheel has to be in line with their front axis. When you walk out.
One of my favorite things about wheelchair basketball was the spirit circles we would have at the end. Essentially what it is Dave or Simon or whoever is leading the activity would get us together in a group and talked about what went well and some of the challenges people faced. So it goes back to that perceived inclusion article we were reading in class, and that whole thing around friendship and inclusion and wanting to be a part of an activity to have those bubbly good feelings about or surrounding inclusion within an activity. So I found that really cool, and one of the paragraphs in our readings about inclusion was one of the themes that emerged for people in this sort of activity was having friends was viewed by children as significant to feeling included and to opportunities to take part in activities. So it's just like really any hobby. It's just a fantastic way to meet people, and I found myself getting to know Sarah Black a lot better, Simon and Dave a lot better, and some of the people in the group. It was just a great opportunity to have a nice warm chat with them. So really cool stuff.
Gill's 4 levels of integration: coming out, coming home, coming to feel like we belong, those 4. What level are most athletes who come to wheelchair basketball? What stage of that level of integration are they at?
Well, I'll see if I can remember them properly. To be honest, most of our athletes, they've been injured and playing sports for quite a long time. So they're kind of in the last stage there, but it is interesting when we get some newly injured or new to the sport athletes who are they start in that coming out stage. And you can see they're pretty apprehensive, they're not sure. Luckily we work pretty hard to create a welcoming and kind of fun environment here so that they have a good first experience. Works in with the first contact portion of LTAD for adapted sports.
Okay, I am with wheelchair basketball player Carolyn, and I am very interested, hi Carolyn, as to why you started playing wheelchair basketball.
Well, I have a disability, a physical disability, and it limits my mobility some, and I get injured in fairly unique ways, pretty easily. So I was always a couch potato before I started playing, and then my mother found found it when I was recovering from an ill-fated attempt to belly dance, which I hurt my feet. That's how easily it happens. And she found wheelchair basketball, and I fell in love. And I can handle it because all my problems are foot-related, and I don't need those.
Not only do they progress through the stages of LTAD, but they progress through those 4 stages of the coming out and whatnot. So it's cool to see. But yeah, for the most part, they're all in the last stage. We've got 1 or 2 who are kind of, I would say, are somewhere in between the 2nd and 3rd stages right now. And then it is interesting because I get emails all the time from people who are asking me information about when we practice and things, but then you might not see them because they're not quite ready for that, to enter into that first stage of coming out. They're not quite comfortable with their injury or with their disease or whatever it may be, and ready to kind of come out and play the sport.
Honestly, and just the fact that I can be so much more active. I move so much better in a chair than I do in day-to-day life. Just new ways to move.
What are some challenges you see here in Pisces as far as accessibility and some of the gyms you go around touring at with wheelchair basketball?
Pisces is for the most part pretty good. There is the issue with sport chairs don't fit through all the doors. They made all the doors nice and wide for day chairs. So then you get your sport chairs which are wider and have camber on the wheels. You can see there lower. There you go. So that can be a bit of an issue. The ramp outside is unfortunately still an issue, even though they spent I don't know how much money redoing it. It's still too steep to go up, especially for athletes who aren't as physically strong. Maybe they're newly injured, maybe they're not in that good a shape. So if the elevator's out or it's full or something like that, that's a bit of an issue. But Pisces for the most part is quite excellent. And Canada is one of the better countries in the world. Some of the high performance people that I coach or work with, you hear some pretty good horror stories when they go to Turkey or they go to France. It's apparently just brutal. The Middle East, things like that. They have good.
How about as far as disabilities, spinal cord injuries, paraplegia? What are some of the main people that are coming and playing wheelchair basketball here in this league? What are you seeing?
In Victoria, we're mainly spinal cord injuries and paraplegics, which is nice. And getting back to the accessibility thing, the great thing about coaching wheelchair basketball is, of disabled athletes, they're definitely the lowest maintenance, but they need the least amount of access and least amount of help. They can do a lot of things themselves, right? Because they still have full function of their upper body. Get into rugby or bocce with some really low functioning cerebral palsy athletes, they need a lot more help and a lot more assistance to get around, go about their daily lives basically. Wheelchair athletes, yeah, we've got lower spinal cord injuries, more function. There's a lot of cerebral palsy, a lot of CP athletes. It's kind of taking over the game right now, actually, and making us as coaches redefine some things. Actually, quite a few high point players in the classification system have different sorts of bone diseases. So they have brittle bones, or the joints aren't formed right. That doesn't let them play stand-up sports, particularly stand-up basketball, but they're fine in wheelchair sports. We've got a couple guys here who have nerve disorders, so that their legs can't fire to jump properly. Or if they do play stand-up basketball, they'll be in bed for about a week. So a lot of neurological disorders with that, and lots of really rare stuff that I can't pronounce or remember, but all sorts of different things. So it's quite a wide swath, as well as they've since gone on to bigger and better things, but we have had quite a few amputee athletes, because they're just so much lighter. They're pretty effective because they're very fast. So a lot of amputee athletes go to basketball as well.
Awesome. That's Simon Cass. Thanks again, Simon.
Thank you.
So I thought it would have been really easy for me to write a paragraph each week documenting my journey through wheelchair basketball, but I wanted to be different. And I feel like a video gives you a more accurate representation of what actually happened in my experience this semester. So I really feel like I stepped outside my shell. It was really nice to interview people and get to know some new people throughout this process. I was impressed with Simon and Dave's level of ETA through the weeks. Going in, I think they had really big expectations given our kind of athletic play level. And once they saw that we were rookies, they really changed the movement pattern. So they changed the ETA by breaking us into groups that really reflected our abilities and then integrating us back into the more senior or veteran groups. It was really cool. It really helped us learn and grow as we went along. A few adjustments I would suggest. We had challenges with improper wheels on the chairs some of the times, and that really slowed us down, including some flats. So getting that right at the beginning of the activity would have just sped up the process. And I noticed a few players, especially new players, weren't asked about any physical limitations coming in because some of them did perceive to look able-bodied. Yeah, for future students, I would say, listen, just go in with a clean mind, be in awe what these athletes can do on the court. And with a bit of confidence and an open mind, it's amazing what you'll be able to accomplish out there. And the most positive thing I can say is after each and every night, you'll leave with a warm, bubbly feeling inside. And that's something that you just really can't express to anyone else. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Had a wonderful experience, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you soon.
Vibrancy in my mind, world's working with vibrancy.